Hello everybody and welcome back to Katawa Shoujo, where we're continuing from where we left off. Yeah, it's not been as bad as this year as in the past. This all helped me to stay focused. Okay, I know that's not true. She even cut off contact outside of school hours during exam week. But she did seem to see me the other day. She did see me the other day and she told me more that once that the morning runs was the only thing she looked forward to during exams. So maybe it's not that much of a lie. Either way, to hear that being around has helped even a little makes me feel a bit better. Emmy's mother raises an eyebrow at this statement. Either she doesn't believe Emmy or she's as surprised as I am. Well, that appears that it's a good thing. You two have become so close. I tell you to, I'll tell you to take good care of my daughter, Sal. But it looks like You're already doing that. Emmy grins at this and seems to make pride in my having managed to interrogate myself with her mother so easily. Actually, I'd say your daughter's been the one taking care of me. She's gotten me out and running. I've probably been more active since meeting her than I ever was, even before. I'd actually never thought of it that much, nor had I ever appreciated the humor of it. I wasn't too active before the heart attack. Pickup games of soccer don't really count since they weren't that common. So now that I know for sure that I have a weak heart, now I run every day, pushing my luck with the help of my medication. I chuckle quietly and realize that I've never finished my sentence. Well, before I had my heart attack and wound up at the school here. It comes out so casually. There was a time that I would have thought twice about talking about what was wrong with me at all. But now it just seems silly to care, especially in the company of Emmy and her mother. If Emmy can be cavalier about her disability, then so can I. I think back to the track meet where Emmy declared herself the fastest thing on no legs. The fact of her obvious loss has never seemed to bother her, at least not in public. Being struck in the wheelchair frustrated her, I know. But even that was something she dealt with on her own, despite my effects to the contrary. Emmy has a way of bringing out the more active side in people. I've never quite figured out how she does it. Those puppy dog eyes she gets for starters. I'm not surprised that she managed to rope you into an exercise routine. If Rin weren't just as stubborn as she is, I'm sure that Emmy would have gotten her out running with you too. Well, that reminds me. Rin says hello. I drift to the outer edge of the conversation again as we move into the dining room to eat. It smells delicious in here, and the spread that Emmy's mom's has produced is impressive. Wow, you've made enough to feed an army in here. Is it too much? Well, you can take some leftovers with you when you go. That sounds great. I could only handle cafeteria food for so long. Something home cooked would be a welcome change of pace. What he said. Thanks, Mom. Oh, that was me talking? Whatever. The food tastes as good as it smells, and there's a lull in the conversation while we all dig in. Emmy assaults her plate with the usual amount of gusto, and I will admit that I set a pretty fast pace myself. So, Sal, I hear that you and my daughter have gotten rather close. The urge to say something like, not really, is so strong that I open my mouth to say it, but then reassert control. We are close. There's no getting around it. I mean, Emmy's brought me here, hasn't she? Fortunately, both Emmy and her mother seem to take my reaction as a sigh that I'm caught off guard rather than saying something cruel. I suppose we have. I blame the morning runs myself. You make it sound like it's a bad thing, Sal. Well, I, for one, found it a relief. Why's that? Emmy's always been a popular girl, but never made any close friends. This is a bit this is a bit of news to me. I've always seen Emmy chatting with her classmates in the hallways. And certainly the whole track team seems to love her. But it is true that she chooses to isolate herself during lunch with Rin and me. Not exactly the sort of behavior one expects from a popular girl, after all. Then again, I'm experienced her unwillingness to get close firsthand, so I can't say I'm that surprised. I was beginning to have my doubts. Emmy rolls her eyes to the ceiling and grumbles something I can't make out. Huh? What? What? What's what's that you just said? Nothing. Mrs. Abuza chokes on her drink with laughter. You've been hanging out with the nurse too long, Emmy. I'm going to have to talk to him about corrupting my daughter. Somehow, I don't think that would be very effective. I learned most of it from you anyway, not the nurse. Don't listen to her, Sal. She's a born liar. Yeah, right. Sorry. Oh, I don't know, Emmy. I think your mother has a point. Oh, there's something wrong with my voice. What? You traitor. You're supposed to take my side in this. Yeah, but you did lie about the leg after the meat. Ugh. A kick in the shin from an unmistakably plastic foot cuts me off. But not before Mrs. Abaza's eyebrows shoot upwards. What about your leg? It wasn't a big deal at all. I was just, in a wheelchair for a bit. The last few mumbled words are quickly deciphered by Amy's mother. I suspect she has experience with this sort of thing, and a worried frown appears on her face. So that's why you kept dodging my calls. Oh, Amy, I know how much you hate being in a wheelchair. No wonder you've been in such a mood lately. Yeah, she's much happier on her feet, so to speak. Well, of course, she spent enough time in the chair just after the accident. She didn't get prosthetics immediately? No, she had to finish healing up before they let her start that sort of therapy. You gotta go through that to gotta go what? You got to go through to adjust to those things. Especially since she wants to run on them. I had no idea. Yeah, it sucked. Oh, did you see Rin's mural at the festival? Amy's sudden change of the topic makes me realize belatedly that she's been fidgeting the whole time her mother and I have been talking. I should have figured on her being a little skittish when it comes to talking about the accident, even around her mother. No, I didn't make it out to the festival, remember? Although I caught a glimpse of it at your track meet, it seemed pretty weird to me. I think it's more or less what she was going for. She's talked a lot about it being dreamlike, or trying to make it dreamlike. Rin's art is one of those things I don't think I'll ever understand. That's not surprising. I don't think Rin expects to be understood. She told me once that art allows people to understand stuff they wouldn't understand otherwise. But all the same, she doesn't think it actually works that way. I'm surprised that Emmy talked about this with Rin, extensively enough to actually have Rin's opinion, such as it is. Although I expect that Rin could not, if she were so inclined, say the same thing about Emmy's. Unless, of course, Emmy is purposely keeping me in the dark about everything, which is likely, but unpleasant to think about. I draft down this unpleasant train of thought for a while, losing track of conversation. Hey, Emmy, I've been meaning to ask. Huh? Are you going to visit your father this year? From the way she said it, you'd think Emmy was talking about the weather. From the way Emmy reacts, it's clearly not the weather we're talking about. She flinches a little, a slight jerk of the head backwards as if she's been slapped in the face. Can we talk about this later? Her voice sounds brittle, stained. It looks like as she's been severely shaken by the question. It seems that Mrs. Abababzaba misjudged just how close Emmy and I are. Some things, it seems, are just not conversed about with me around. Her father is one of those things. The accident that took her legs is probably another one of those things. If her reaction to the earlier conversation between her mother and myself is any indication. It doesn't take Emmy's mother long to realize she screwed up. Of course you can, dear. I'm sorry to bring it up. I just wanted to ask so I can make plans. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Emmy fidgets nervously as if embarrassed by her own reaction. I confess that her reaction is confusing. She only just mentioned her father to me earlier today. Less than a few hours ago even. Why does a simple question about when she'll visit her father cause such a reaction? Unless whatever serenity she claimed to have reached by means of our talk the previous evening has suddenly evaporated. Or it didn't help as much as she thought or claimed. I'll be right back. Gotta visit the little girl's room. Emmy gets up suddenly and leaves the table, leaving me and Mrs. Abazabadabla alone. I'm a little conflicted. Should I go after her, or should I stay here? It's obvious that Emmy's departure has not based on the call of nature. Something's bothering her, and I have to know what it is. How to go about this? I'm gonna go after her. The only way to find out about it is to go to the source, and the source is currently pretending that she has to use the toilet. I excuse myself politely from the table and head that way, only to catch sight of Emmy not in the bathroom, but in the kitchen just next to the living room. Emmy's left the door open, and as I approach I can see that she's holding onto the table in an attempt to compose herself, an effort that fails as soon as I open my mouth. Doesn't look like nature's call was that urgent. Emmy jumps up and glares at me. What are you doing here? I didn't come here to be with other people. I just wanted to help you. You look pretty rattled. I said it was nothing, didn't I? And besides, I thought we'd established that you can't help me. No, we've established that you're stubborn. Look who's talking, the guy who followed me. This is different. I want to help you with whatever this is. Funny, because I just want you to leave me alone. But why? Why can't we just trust me? Why can't you just trust me? We've been over this already, Hasao. I've got to deal with this stuff on my own. I won't accept that. You need my help. You just won't take it. My words seem to be have been a little off. Need? I need your help? Well, it's a good thing we met, isn't it? Because otherwise I guess I'd just be a broken human being, wouldn't I? No, it's a damn good thing that Hasao came along to save the day, isn't it? Because God knows I can't save myself, can I? I'm just a poor, emotionally damaged girl with no legs, right? Emmy, you know I don't think that. Really? Because if you thought differently, then I don't think you'd be here saying I need your help. I've gotten pretty far in life as a normal human being without you. So what, nothing we've shared was important? I'm just the guy who hangs out with you? You're my boyfriend, Hasao, not my savior. Well, no, that much is obvious. We don't even consider that I could help you. Wait. Well, no, that much is obvious. You won't even consider that I could be a help to you, will you? You'll just bottle it all up and hope that a run will solve your problems? Or you'll come visit me and we'll fool around until you feel better. That's not being a healthy human being, Emmy. That's not what a relationship means. Well, it's what it means to me right now, Sal. I wish... She seems to reconsider her words just then. A flicker of pain, of doubt on her face. For a moment, I think she's about to cry. But the moment passes, and now she's composed herself again. Whatever that wish was, will have to go unspoken. Look, I can't do this now. What, have a serious conversation? Be open? Be honest? Give a damn about anyone besides yourself and your problems? What do you know about my problems? Nothing. You don't know what I've been through, so don't pretend that you do. I know you have nightmares, and I know your father's gone. What happened to him? Emmy's head jerks backwards as if I've just slapped her. That brittle quality that has gotten back into her voice. That's enough. This is stupid. The whole conversation has just been a variation of Emmy stonewalling me. What? You won't even answer that question? Fine. Keep your secrets. Then lie in your grave as far as I am concerned. Emmy's eyes widen in shock. When she speaks again, it's in the voice that is low, dangerous. Get out of my house, Hisao. The sudden change in her tone snaps me out of my self-righteous anger and makes me realize with a dawning horror what I've just said. Emmy, I didn't mean... I said go, Hisao. Tell my mother that she cooked a wonderful meal, but you've forgotten a prior engagement and get out of my house. She's trembling now, shaking with anger, or sadness, or determination. Her voice is still low, controlled, almost a growl. I reach out to put my arm on her shoulder to apologize for going too far, but she jerks away from my touch. Get out. What can I do? I walk out of the kitchen and go to the living room, make my apology to Miss Abeluza, and let myself out. Jeez, what the hell? Why would she say it with that face? That face was like she wanted to... I don't know. She wanted to play video games or something. The morning alarm sounds and I roll over, switch it off. My eyes are barely to stare at the ceiling. Ooh. What am I going to do? Do I get out of bed and go to the track and pretend that nothing happened? Will Emmy even show up? After last evening's events, I doubt it. Even suppose that she did. What would I do then? Get over this fight just to dance the same routine the next time something's bothering her? I know that I spoke hastily last evening, especially trying to use her father as leverage. But was anything I said really off the mark? She won't let me in. Ever. And she'll be forced to suffer alone. Nothing I say is going to change that. She won't change, and she already decided to keep me at arm's length. Can I really bring myself to go down there and see her, knowing that I'm never going to get the past where I am now? What? No, I decide I really can't. Not today. I roll over and go back to sleep. She probably won't be there anyway. A similar mental conversation repeats itself when it comes time to go to lunch, and I eat in the cafeteria, alone. I don't want to see her. The very thought makes me feel ill. That night, I go for a run. I'm solo for the first time since Emmy got sick after the track meet. Skip seeing the nurse just in case he asked about Emmy. I don't want to talk about her now. I don't want to talk about her either. The next day, I did the same thing. Alarm off, stay in bed, eat alone, run alone. To fill the time that I would usually be spending with Emmy, I start reading more. It works surprisingly well until I find myself ducking into a restroom because I see her walking down the hall in between classes. If she noticed me, she didn't show it, even though I don't suppose she ever shows anything. Certainly not to the girl from the class I was talking cheerfully to her, or to the fellow track members. Especially not to me. Alarm off, stay in bed. Matao and I have a lengthy talk about the possibilities that string theory is plausible. I don't buy it myself. More than 4 dimensions I can buy. But a bunch of vibrating strings at the subatomic level? That's asking a bit much. Looks like I'm not the one to think. Wait, what? Looks like I'm not the only one to think this way, too. Apparently it's not as strong a theory as it once was. Mattel says that just because nobody has found the right way of looking at the data yet. Eat alone. The rooftop is deserted today. I briefly wonder where Emmy and Rin are, but shrug off the question. The important thing is that they aren't here, so I won't have to talk to them. Since I have nobody to talk to, I bring a book with me to read. The weather's nicer. It gets a little hot. If getting a little hot. Hopefully, it will be cooler in the evening. A cool breeze seems to back up my theory. Run alone. It is, in fact, cooler at the track. No sign of Evie, which is exactly the sort of thing I'm going for. I stretch out and start on my usual run, trying hard to ignore the lack of running partner in front of me. Finding my thoughts drifting damnably to the girlish laugh, and horribly grin, those wide and friendly eyes, her incredibly toned body. I increase the pace to clear my head, true up the distance between me and the turns, find the speed that makes me think only of my legs and how much they burn. I glance at my watch as I round the first turn. Nothing that time's gotten faster. Huh? My heart seems a little squirrely tonight. So I give myself a few extra cooldown laps just to be safe. No reason to bring this to the nurse's attention. I'll be fine. A rather Emmy-ish thought to have, I admit. I have to do nothing that I have to hope that eventually I'll stop thinking about her so much. I finished another book before going to bed that night. I'll have to stop by the library tomorrow. I don't know why I keep the early alarm on anymore, but it wakes me up the next morning just the same. I still turn it off and go back to sleep. That afternoon, as I get ready to head to the cafeteria for another solo lunch, I've got a new book about a couple of con men in ancient Persia that I'm pretty excited about reading. I am suddenly cornered by Misha and... I guess just Misha. Off to eat alone again, Hitchan? We've noticed, you know. We. Shitan and I noticed that you've been spending more time alone. She wanted me to find out why, so I told her I'd ask you. I'm surprised she doesn't ask me herself. She would have, but she wanted to get a head start on some paperwork. There's a lot of it since we're coming up to the end of the term, you know. Why the sudden interest in my well-being, anyway? Shitan said it is the duty of the student council to keep track of the emotional health of its students. To allow a constitute to spiral into depression unchecked would be an unforgivable failure in the council's duties. Well, that's easy then. I'm not depressed. But you're eating alone, and nobody's seen you and Emmy together at all. Something happened, didn't it, Hichan? Mish's voice takes on a slightly sterner tone, though somehow she keeps the familiar lit at the end of her sentences. I purse my lips, uncertain about how to respond. I guess we'll give in to let Misha know. But I think this is a good place to stop, so next time we'll see what Misha has to say about my situation. So, see you guys later.